Hello guys, now we'll be going to look at upon the often history of ISO 9000. So previously we have looked upon ISO 9000 introductions. Now we'll be going to look at upon the often revisions of ISO 9000. So history. So actually the ISO 9000 has been published by taking out the British standard that has been formulated in 1979. That is BS 5750 standard, that is called British Standard 5750. It was influenced by defense military standard. So by taking out that standard, this ISO 9000 was published. In terms of year 1987, that was the first version of ISO 9000, that is of QMS. And the second version of ISO was published in 1994. And this version stressed to assure the quality by preventive actions. So by taking out the preventive actions, the quality has been assured. So upon the next version of third version, it was published in the year 2000, and 2000 has multiple updates. So those updates we'll be looking upon that in terms of chart. So this flow will give you an idea about it. History of ISO 9000. It starts with first version in 1987. So they have published it, and totally it contains a more number of entity. So they have reformulated in 1994 in order to assure a quality by taking out the preventive action. So in that case, the 20 classes are there, auditable classes are there, and 20 required procedures need to be followed, and 3 auditable standards are there in 1994. And in the later in 2000 version, okay, so the major revision has been loaded. So from 20 they have reduced to 8 classes, but 6 procedures need to be followed. Then process based approach has been introduced in the terms of 2000, and one auditable standard is there, that is 9001. So now only there's 9001 we are following it. And in 2008 there is no bigger updates, only the minor revisions are there, and the name has been clarified, that's all. There is no bigger revisions. And in the latest version now we are using 2015 revision, whereas there from 8 classes to 10 classes has been increased, but there is no procedures to follow it. As well, we have implemented risk based approach by substituting preventive actions and then the process approach. And here the top management plays a vital role, and it is a top management emphasized. So this will give you an idea about how the ISO has been emerged. As I said earlier, in terms of 2000, the third revision version was released, and here it looks upon majorly in cases of process based approach. So process based approach has been introduced in third version in 2000. And in terms of 2008, there is no bigger changes, only slight changes are made from 2000 edition to 2008 edition. But it is bit difficult, okay, so it will be difficult to compile with other management standards like 14,000, 22,000, 45,000. In this case, what they have made it is, they have made an update, so major update irrespective of 2008 to 15. So nowadays the 15 edition, we can able to easily integrate with another management standards only with a few document sets, but whereas there it will be much more difficult. And apart from it, there are multiple things has been changed, and there is some misconception is also there. Let us look at upon that also. So key changes. So here the top management is a person who want to take the decisions, and risk based thinking is loaded. Records and documents has to be formulated, and that has to be formatted in a certain standard, and it will be easier to integrate it, as I said earlier. Fundamental concepts. So in terms of ISO 9000 is to 2015, process approach has been substituted from an older version, and newer version the risk based thinking has been substituted instead of process approach. And the PDCA model acts as a bridge between the two concepts, and it was first emphasized by Nigel Croft, chairperson of ISO subcommittee for revising the standard. Process approach. This image will give you an idea about what is process approach. We are going to give an input. Upon the taking out the input, the process is going to be taken out and we'll be receiving the output. These questions will give us what is mean of process approach, with what we are going to do the process, how we will be going to do the process, how many processes are there, with whom or else with who will be going to complete the process. So this process approach will give us who is going to carry out, how it is going to be carried out, with what we will be going to carry out. PDCA. PDCA is nothing but Plan, Do, Check, Act. It was first promoted by Edward Deming. So that is why sometimes a few teachers used to tell that it is an Deming cycle or else an Edward Deming cycle, but actually it was Edward Deming cycle. Some cases we used to tell that as an PDCA cycle, PDCA model, all the things are right. Risk-based thinking. This image will give you an idea about what is risk-based thinking. Here there is a case. There is a risk of injury if you cross the road with moving cars. That is, if you cross the road while the cars are moving, you will be get injured. That's what. Same thing, if you are going to do a process, you need to know what is the consequence of the process. That is called a risk-based thinking. There is a misconception between the participant side about the revisions. That is, they have substituted process approach by risk-based thinking. Then preventive action has been removed. Actually, the process approach, okay, it just shows the process alone, but the risks are not taken out. But nowadays, the risk is taken out by using of risk-based thinking. Then preventive action has been removed. Actually, it is not removed. The risk-based thinking, okay, in terms of risk-based thinking itself, the preventive action is there. That is why it has been removed. So these are the two misconceptions which are there. Let us discuss it in a detail. So substitution of process approach by risk-based thinking. Before any begins the process, one must identify hazard and opportunities, so that they may decide which process best meets the objective in terms of given context, that is of issues. That is called risk-based thinking. Then when the risk-based thinking is included, the preventive action will become habit. That is why the preventive action has been removed in terms of newer version when comparing to an older version. Why? Because the prevention is involved in each and every phases of the process. So there is no need of preventive action. That is why it has been removed. Here there is an action plan for an organization. Whereas in older version, okay, so in older version to newer version, so in older version, they have given, in order to move on to the newer version itself, they have given 3 years of duration. If you're moving for a newer version, suppose if any of a newer version is going to become, they will be going to provide you 3 years of time duration. That is why I have given with the transitional period itself in an earlier case. And only there is only minor modifications need to be loaded, and the protocols which are necessary for that only has to be followed as well. Here in this case, they have followed the risk-based management protocols. Why? Because in older version the risk management is not there, only the newer version is there. That is why. But when you are moving forward, irrespective of the context, compliances, you will be going to move on. The next process we will be going to look at upon the certification process. The next video. Thank you very much.